Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
Country Cold Store Mini Mart announces a special offer for this independence. February 3rd to 6th. Thigh quarters, $10 to $20 per bag. Frozen whole turkey, $7 per pound. Frozen picnics, $7 per pound. Onion rings, $23 per bag. Chicken wings, $15 per bag. Garlic, $1.50 per sling. Potatoes, $5 to $10 per bag. Potato wedges, $27 per bag. Cured pork snout, $10 to $20 per bag. Happy Independence, Grenada. Enjoy the specials at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart. February 3rd to February 6th.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Welcome to EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
Country Cold Store Mini Mart announces a special offer for this independence, February 3rd to 6th. Thigh quarters, $10 to $20 per bag. Frozen whole turkey, $7 per pound. Frozen picnics, $7 per pound. Onion rings, $23 per bag. Chicken wings, $15 per bag. Garlic, $1.50 per sling. Potatoes, $5 to $10 per bag. Potato wedges, $27 per bag. Cured pork snout, $10 to $20 per bag. Happy Independence, Grenada. Enjoy the specials at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart. February 3rd to February 6th.
The Country Cool Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
And it sure is power. I mean, how are you going to live if you're not informed? How are you going to repeat things if your information is not up to date, or it's just totally wrong, or you don't have it all? Folks, today we're going to be really and truly digging in. So bear with me as we do what we must to make this program the enjoyable program that it has the capacity to being. So let's take it away here, folks, because we have a lot of ground to cover. A lot of ground to cover. A lot of things to do. Let me just get this sorted out. Right. So welcome to Edification 304, the 5th for 2026 thus far. And of course, we notice February commences as the year continues to race on. As we ready ourselves for the 6 days, in 6 days to observe, I would say, the 52nd year of our national independence. You notice my choice of word is not celebrate, because I don't use words loosely. I don't use them loosely. If we really had anything to celebrate, I would be using the word celebrate. But we still continue to observe independence. I take this opportunity to wish every living and breathing Grenadian that you would rise to the occasion to pay reverence to all those on whose shoulders we stand today to make our contributions to develop our nation. But we cannot make our contribution if we're looking for freeness. Freeness no longer exists, folks. We have to understand and appreciate that. God, every free lunch has a price. Somebody pays. Good. So to all the EDDIE-FYAHS and newcomers, as soon as you join, please remember to share, comment, like, love, follow, subscribe, do what you must. Just interact fully as you're used to so that we can make this edition as memorable as possible. The topic we hover around today is they attack your tone when the truth makes them panic. Oh yes, they tend to talk. You're bound to tell me it's so. Oh, you could write me. Oh God. Why you have to be so, you're so crass, you're so angry. This time now, that truth that you're telling is angering. So how else could you tell it? But they want to harbor on your tone instead of the truth. We see this every day with their projections. And according to Dr. Sonia Nixon, people using every opportunity to practice hatred. For a supposedly fully mature nation of 52 years, what a pity. All we can see for the most part is that a large swath of our people wanting to be popular nobodies that everybody knows. They are just stories until you are the one at fault for their shortcomings and failures. If we want a different life as a nation, folks, we've got to stop protecting the habits that built the old one. When feelings become verdicts, conversation becomes impossible. Never abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable. Stay silent. When you stand up and speak the truth, you don't just make noise, you know. You make enemies. Truth shakes comfort. Oh, president of the club. Love shaking comfort. And if the consequence of me speaking the truth makes enemies, I'm in the mood always. If your life is not your price, folks, if your life is not your price, meaning if you are not prepared to pay your life as a price, listen to me carefully, you are for sale. The moment one of the few truth tellers among us says something real, the conversation shifts. Not to what he or she said, you know, to how you said it. Suddenly it's, you're being aggressive. You didn't need to say it like that. Calm down now. Your delivery is a problem. And that is how you know you hit something. Because if your words were wrong, listen to me carefully, folks. If your words were wrong, they'd argue the words. Instead, they argue your tone. That's not feedback. That's deflection. You see it all the time when the numbskulls of our society, who dive deeper into their place of habitation, the gutter that is, to see what excess lolly they can spare to project in my direction, when they cannot refute anything I utter in these very podcasts, and even in personal conversations, they just dive for some lolly. But you see, it was Plato who said, when the argument is lost, they turn to insults. It's what people do when the truth threatens their image, their false narrative, their false story, or the role they've been playing without consequence. They can't say you're wrong, so they say you're too much. Who the hell you think you are? While they have to make things up about you, their fragile egos can be destroyed with truth. That's why they hide behind fake profiles, as they do not want to attract appropriate responses that can totally destroy them. Isn't that interesting, folks? You weren't loud. You weren't cruel. You weren't out of line. You were just clear. And clarity is dangerous in systems built on lies and denial. Tone policing exists for one reason: to attempt to put you back in your place, to attempt to make you second guess yourself, to attempt to turn your nervous system inward, to attempt to shift the focus from harm to your reaction to it. Now you're defending yourself instead of naming what happened. That's the trap. You have to be careful, folks. And if you grew up in environments where peace mattered more than truth, you were trained to fall for it, to soften, to rephrase, to apologize for the way they claim, though out of place, that harm made you sound. Hello? But here's the part you're allowed to know now. People who are acting in good faith don't fixate on tone. People who care about repair don't derail into manners. And people who aren't hiding don't explode over calm questions. So if your tone suddenly became the issue, it's because the truth landed where they didn't want it to land. You don't need to be palatable to be honest. Hell no. You don't need to be gentle to be right either. You don't owe softness to people protecting a lie. So if they couldn't answer you and had to critique you instead, you weren't wrong. You were dangerous to the story they needed to keep intact. And that tells you everything. I therefore urge you to proceed to rattle the cage with consistency and never forget to keep your honesty coming, just like I do, regardless of the reactions of others or even the guilty. When I told you time and time again about the old nastinesses past, which paved the way for his ongoing practices of dishonesty, it wasn't to shame him. No, it was to let you know he ain't good and he ain't good long. So you see what they attack my tone when the truth makes them panic. You getting the message now? There are some dunderheads who feel the nonsense they spew is in the category of truth because they and people of like low minds believe them. But we ought to have learned a long time now that not because we believe something to be true, it is true. It must be factual and undeniably so. You see why this is a fantastic topic today, folks? I have seen several times reproductions of varying versions of my posts delivered by several people who would not wish anyone to know that they were viewers of my pages. But interestingly, because the origin of the thought was not theirs, they could not use same in an appropriate context because of the terrible gaps in their intellect. Our topic today is nothing but a fantastic topic. In fact, raw, resonant, and packed with psychological and social dynamics. So let's unpack this factual, probing, humorous, and even frank sharing here today. You see, Edification 304 is part of what we may call the Uncomfortable Truth series. Let's call this segment Tone Policing, and of course the panic button. So strap in. Today we're talking about the social equivalent of, I would call it a smoke alarm going off. That moment when you present a simple, verifiable, inconvenient fact, and the response you get isn't about the fact. It's about your delivery. Well, you didn't have to say it like that. Why are you so angry? I'd listen if you were more polite. Your tone is very aggressive. Ever notice how that critique never pops up when you're giving someone a compliment? No one ever says, your tone is so shrill and hostile when telling me I look nice. Funny that. Funny, eh? Real funny. You see, our thesis, our delivery for today, a hill I'm prepared to die on, is this. They attack your tone when the truth makes them panic. Bear with me as we're going to dissect why this happens, the mechanics of the panic, and why responding with performative calm is sometimes too overrated. You see, we're keeping it factual. We're going to get probing, and because we have to laugh so we don't scream, we're going to keep it frank and as funny as we can. Because in truth and in fact, this and all has a funny side to it. So let's get factual first. This isn't just a feeling. It is a documented rhetorical strategy. In logic, it is a subset of the ad hominem fallacy, attacking the person, not the argument. But tone policing is a specific sneaky flavor. It shifts the entire conversation from what is being said to how it's being felt by the person in the wrong. Isn't that interesting? So why panic? Psychologically, a daringly confronting truth threatens a few things. First and foremost, self-image. But I'm a good person. This fact suggests otherwise. Even though they know it is true, they hope that no one knows it for a fact. And that actually fuels their fallacy. But the next area that it threatens is worldview. The system is fair. This fact cracks that foundation. And the third one, cognitive ease. It's mentally cheap to keep believing what you've always believed. This fact demands expensive mental reorganization. You see, the brain faced with this internal software update, it doesn't want to run. Does what any of us do when a pop-up we don't understand appears on our screen. We look for the X, so does the brain. Look for the X to close the window. The X, of course, becomes your tone. If it can invalidate the messenger, it can. In its mind, that is, quarantine the message. So the message is no longer important. The messenger becomes the issue. You see, it's like if your smoke alarm went off and instead of checking for toast, you stood on a chair and screamed at the alarm for being too high-pitched and alarmist. Could you beep in a more measured mid-tone baritone? I'd consider evacuating then, only if you calm yourself. This is you with your half-crazy self talking to the fire alarm, the smoke alarm. But the house is burning down. But you've made it about the alarm's personality instead. So what's the probing question here? When someone says you're being emotional, what they often really saying is, your emotional display is making it impossible for me to ignore the emotional consequences of what I've done and what you're pointing out. Folks, the truth isn't sterile, you know. It often hurts. And the pain in your voice is evidence of that hurt. Attacking the tone is a way to dismiss that evidence. Let's take a little break here, folks. And when we return, we will seek to tell you about the unequal burden of calm. For in truth and in fact, they will attack your tone when the truth makes them panic. Panic. So let's take a little refreshing break here and we'll come right back.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
Country Cold Store Mini Mart announces a special offer for this independence. February 3rd to 6th. Thigh quarters, $10 to $20 per bag. Frozen whole turkey, $7 per pound. Frozen picnics, $7 per pound. Onion rings, $23 per bag. Chicken wings, $15 per bag. Garlic, $1.50 per sling. Potatoes, $5 to $10 per bag. Potato wedges, $27 per bag. Cured pork snout, $10 to $20 per bag. Happy Independence, Grenada. Enjoy the specials at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart. February 3rd to February 6th.
The Country Cool Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks, wonderful. But just a little announcement here. Well, not an announcement, just a general comment. Yesterday, I attended a graduation ceremony at the SGU. St. George's University, for the social science faculty and the nursing program they have there. Wow, that's cool. St. George's University reflects the nature, the character, the humility of its founding chancellor, Dr. Charles Madiker. Hearing him make his remarks yesterday, the simplicity, the ordinariness is a pull factor, is magnetic to get you to want to be interested in furthering your studies. Because if a well-decorated, educated, and financially sound individual could be so ordinary, as the Jamaicans would put it, ordinary as if it's spelled with an A, he is communicating to you that wherever he is in his life, it's possible for you too. I looked at that man yesterday and it's just my skin raised to think that 50 years on, he's still around, still alive, still strong to be presiding over graduations of that august institution, which is a pride and joy of this country, a major contributor to our national economy. Wow. Wow, wow. And then to see the choice of Dr. Sir Kirani James giving the feature address to the graduates. Another son steeped in humility, delivering with gusto. Wow. Folks, there's a lot of hope for us in Grenada. We just have some miscreants that social media gives prominence. And a lot of us who are easily distracted following these lolly drain characters instead of minding our business so that we can truly evolve as the people we were meant to evolve as and to become. Folks, when you follow stupidness you end up stupid. Let's try and gravitate towards what matters in life, na man. The soca artists tell you, drink water and mind your business. Oh God, follow the thing, na man. That's sound instruction, you know. Sound advice. Follow the instruction. Drink water and mind your business. A lot of you following the sentiments of broke people who ain't going nowhere with their life. Some of them reach 50, they reach 55, they're going. They have a shorter lifespan on this side, but they're still going down hard with their stupidness and stupidity. And among you following them, folks, you will end up just like them. Some of them frustrated that they've wasted all their years on the left side of 50. And you know, they basically give up. Don't follow them now, folks. They're done already. You can make a turnaround and make your life really something worth living. So let's continue here. The unequal burden of calm. So let's get frank. This tactic is not deployed equally across all social dynamics. It is wielded most often by those in a position of inherent comfort against those for whom the truth is a matter of survival. Think about it. If you're pointing out a pattern of microaggressions at work, the person who never notices them gets to be calm. You who live with them are expected to match that calm while describing something inherently uncalming. It's like being asked to explain a splinter in your finger with the detached interest of a biologist studying someone else's finger. Folks, historically, movements for justice are constantly told to be more civil. Dr. King was called unreasonable and aggressive by white moderates. Suffragettes were called shrill, strident, and hysterical. The truth of their oppression was panic-inducing to the status quo. So the focus shifted to their manners. Folks, it's a brilliant, infuriating bait and switch. You bring a spreadsheet of data, factual, but your voice had a slight edge of frustration in column C. Suddenly, the meeting is no longer about the budget discrepancy. It is about the confrontational demeanor. You're left thinking, wait. I came with facts, and they're reviewing my performance of serenity. It's a whole new job description they never gave you. So is the goal actually the productive conversation? Or is the goal compliance? A polite, calm acceptance of a harmful truth is often more palatable to the powerful than a messy, urgent demand for change. You see, the attack on tone is a demand for palatability. They want to tell you how to vex, how to express what and how you feel, even though why and how you feel are justified by the cause. So, we're being gaslit. The house is on fire, and we're getting criticized for our smoke alarms pitch. What do? Let's try and see if we could talk a little strategy here. When they say your tone is a problem, you can mirror back with deadly calm. I understand my frustration may be uncomfortable for you. I wonder what about the content of what I'm saying makes you most uncomfortable. Boom. Watch them short circuit. You've just acknowledged the tone and ruthlessly redirected back to the truth. It's verbal jiu-jitsu. In my case, I don't give a damn about how these mostly ingenuine people feel about my frankness. No sugar coating. As long as what I'm saying is factual and you remain unsophisticated to trigger my ire, is full on. You can dive into the gutter all you want for mud. That is familiar to you. That has nothing to do with me. It is usually all made up anyway, while my utterance is totally factual. Then I move on and I leave you stewing. But we should probably take the preemptive strike. Of course, no one size fits all. So depending on the situation, you may even frame the conversation up front. If you want things a little more diplomatically, that is. I'm about to share something that is difficult and may trigger a defensive response. I need you to focus on the issue, not your assessment of my emotional state. Do you think you're capable of doing that? Folks, you know what that does? It names the game before they can play it. You see, sometimes you just have to lean in. If they're going to call you emotional, no matter what, you might as well give them a reason. Let the passion be a part of the point. As the writer Audre Lorde famously said, my anger has meant pain to me, but it has also meant survival. So folks, your unfiltered tone is the data point. It communicates the stakes. This is why speaking truth is often safer and more powerful in groups. It's harder to tone police a chorus. If one person is angry, 5 people are a movement. Find your people, folks. Amplify each other. The reason why many of us find it difficult to find our people is because we're too comfortable with the wrong people around us and about us. And we find it hard to let them go. Trust me, folks, when you realize that they are wrong and wrong for you as friends and associates, and even closely aligned family members and relatives, watch me good, cut them off. You have to reclaim your voice, tone and all. The ultimate goal here isn't to learn how to always speak in the serene tones of a meditation app. Hell no. Sometimes life is not serene or unflustered. And truth is not serene or peaceful. The goal is to see the tone policing for what it is. A panic indicator. Oh, damn it. Somebody found out. I am stripped bare. My bad. They're on to me now. It's a sign you've hit a nerve. You've landed a truth bomb. In a strange way, it's confirmation you're on the right track. Your tone, your anger, your frustration, your impassioned plea, they're all valid. It is data about your experience. It is evidence of caring. To ask you to strip the truth of its emotional core is to ask you to be a robot, delivering a verdict that costs you nothing. But real truth often comes with a cost. Stop managing their panic for them. Be like me, just don't give a damn. As long as you're truthful and you expressed it as it deserved to be expressed. Who vex? Let them read the text. Your job is to speak the truth. Their job is to manage their own emotional response to the truth. So what should you do? Speak anyway. So the next time you feel that critique coming, could you be nicer? You're so intense. Take a mental pause. Ask yourself, is my tone actually the issue? Or is my truth tapping on the glass of their miserable comfort zone? Let them panic. Let them squirm if they want. Your calm is not the prerequisite for their accountability. Those of you who have been built to handle the truth would not mind my tonality, varied, occasionally frank, hopefully truthful episode. If it made you uncomfortable, good. Sit with that. And to those who will email, text, or otherwise message me about my tone today, I already know. The send button is right there. Follow your heart. Try me. Remember, I'm operating at a dangerously high level of freedom these days, where I'm totally conscious of the fact that I have less time ahead of me and don't plan to waste any of it on nonsense. What I do know is that the right people are always ready to listen. You see, this ought to have given you a framework for the value of, I would say, insightful, provocative, and engaging frankness. Now go out there and speak the truth, regardless of who wants to use their habitation in the lally drain to attempt to smear you with the contents of their gutter life. Let's just switch gear here a little bit, folks. And let me ask this question. What would make the numbskulls of any society support an organization that has absolutely no interest in alleviating their ignorance and vulnerability, which relegate them to a life of perpetual poverty? What would cause that? Samuel Adams once said, "It is in the interest of tyrants to reduce the people to ignorance and vice, for they cannot live in any country where virtue and knowledge prevail." You see, this modus operandi is among the oldest and most corrosive political mystery. Let's frame it not as a question of intelligence, but of human psychological hacking. These evil organizations are masterful at exploiting universal human needs and fears. And because their subjects are lazy to think for themselves and are therefore easy to manipulate, they proceed to evolve their political organizations as cults to absorb their members and think for them, thus turn them into perpetual slaves to do their bidding for them. They don't alleviate ignorance and vulnerability. They cultivate, weaponize, and monetize them. They feed their members and followers scraps, but are able to convince them it's a full meal. So here's the ruthless playbook, the psychological exchange, trading prosperity for purpose. The organization offers a devastatingly attractive trade. We will not fix your bank account and take you out of poverty, but we will restore your dignity. And what is this dignity? While they continue to nickel and dime them with the equivalent of scraps off their table, they convince them that that is dignity. It's a full meal I'm giving you, man. But you see, we have to talk here about this pseudoscience of grievance. They transmute the shame of poverty and powerlessness into the pride of victimhood by proxy. You are not poor because of complex economic forces all about us. The cost of living is not high and continuing to increase all over the world to include every island in our Caribbean basin, which of course is the truth. Oh no, instead, they tell them you are a casualty in a sacred war that must be fought against elites. Immigrants coming to take your jobs that many of their followers and supporters don't want. because you and I know they've been just trained to sit and wait for handouts. So they're so spoilt. They want to walk now. Your poverty is no longer a failure. It's proof of your enemy's evil. I saw recently where a broke fool referred to the NDC as a rich people party. Maybe they're correct from the standpoint that they really do not have a concept of what riches really mean. They're mixing up independent-minded. They're mixing up not volunteering to be absorbed into the poor and vulnerable category of our society, which they have been relegated to from as far back as 1995 through to 2022 for the most part. You see, then these people can only parrot, repeat what their manipulators are saying. You see, well-placed pride is nothing to be ashamed of, folks. Maintaining one's dignity is nothing to scoff at. And so the people who are known to never support what these dunderheads are slaves to are cut from a different cloth. And if that makes them supporters of the Rich People Party, then so be it. Look at how many opportunities many of these same dunderheads they had to be rich today, properly rich. And because of their insistence on being dotish and foolish, they instead made sure to give active life to the saying, "A fool and his money will soon be parted." For we all know how much money the proceeds of corruption passed through their hands in the extended period when largesse was sharing between 95 through to 2022 for the most part. But you know what was profoundly said? It is God's will that anything obtained dishonestly must end up in the hands of honest people. That is why a fool and his money will always soon be parted. Folks, there's a gift of simplicity, you know. They replaced the terrifying, complex uncertainty of the global economy. Why is my job gone? With a satisfying, simple narrative, they took it. Ignorance is not a liability. It is a requirement for them to have faith in the leaders of their cult. They're very dung pressers. You see, complex truths are the enemy's trickery. Simple, strong lies feel more true than, I would say, complicated, weak facts. And every time I remember people I went to school with who had similar value-centered upbringing that our common sense imbued parents drilled into us, when I see them following this depraved cult, I marvel. Folks, we have to say a prayer for these people, you know. All of that has me as reclusive as I have become. We can't really mix with this kind of people. It's sad. But what about the economy of belonging? The organization provides a tribe. When material security is out of reach, social security becomes paramount. So handouts become as important as oxygen. You're no longer a struggling individual. You're a valued soldier in an army of the forgotten. This tribe offers camaraderie, shared symbols, flags, hats, slogans, whistles, and a powerful us versus them identity that is more immediate and emotionally rewarding than a distant pension plan. But folks, let's just investigate these 4 pillars, mechanisms of control. The cult of the leader. The leader is not a public servant, but a savior to these people. A strong man who fights for you. His perceived strength becomes their strength. His contempt for experts and rules is not a danger, but proof he's an outsider like them. They support him not despite his corruption, but because of it. They see it as him beating the corrupt system at its own game. And the crumbs that result for them, oh man, they can't help but regard as full meals, as that is all they are conditioned to know and enjoy, and they're bad for it. What was the second pillar? The manufacture of perpetual crisis. A calm, prosperous populace might ask for schools and roads. A panicked, besieged populace asks for protection to not work, to not go through the correct channel to start and maintain a small business, to break the law because they are the small man and the small man had to live. You see, the organization ensures fare is constant. Caravans, cultural decay, replacement theories. Poverty of the mind, folks. Fare ensures poverty of the body. That's a secondary concern. But what's the third pillar? The demonization of true alleviation. Anyone offering actual policy solutions, education, job training, healthcare, self-actualization is labeled the enemy. They're globalists, socialists, elites trying to bribe you to make you weak and dependent. The organization teaches its base to suspiciously reject the very things that would empower them, framing self-improvement as betrayal of the tribe. But what's the fourth pillar? The performance of contempt, the ultimate binding agent. This is most insidious and deceptive as a part of the whole. The leader and the organization openly display contempt for their own supporters. They mock them, lie to them blatantly, and offer them symbolic trinkets instead of substantive help. Could you imagine? You are elected, an elected member of parliament. People like you. People are sworn. They swear by you. Things little tight with them. The boom has swung. And they come begging because that's what you taught. You taught them how to beg. And of course, the first person they will think of begging is you. So they come cap in hand begging. But your leader is going to tell you, don't give them nothing. Let them beg so they could come back when they realize we are out and we really don't have nothing to give them. They will think who is in, making them see trouble. So they will vote for us again and we could win the next election. What kind of dirty people is that, folks? Hello? Taking their own people to make football with them with the hope that their suffering will cause them to resurge back into power. You think they're studying the people? Hell no, they're studying themselves. But why does this work? Because in a twisted way, it validates the supporters' low-level worldview. The supporters think the world is a cruel, unfair place where the strong take what they want from the weak. Here is my leader being strong and taking what he wants, even from me. He's proving the world's harsh truth. To support a kind leader would be naive. Folks, how you call that? Stockholm Syndrome on a societal scale. Folks, this is not a bug. It's the feature. The numbskulls are not misguided supporters waiting for the prosperity they were promised. No, they are the product. Their perpetual poverty and agitation are the engine of the organization's power. Their ignorance makes them easy to manipulate. Their vulnerability makes them desperate for a strong man. Their poverty ensures they remain dependent on the tribe for identity, as they have no economic security to fall back on. To truly help these individuals is to dismantle the entire psychological fortress the organization has built, to offer a more compelling identity. Example, we are builders versus we are victims. A truer form of dignity based on agency, not resentment, and a realistic path to security. Folks, the tragedy is that the organization's first move will be to attack anyone who tries to do this, shouting, see, they're trying to make you weak. They're attacking us. We see similar behavior here in Grenada all the time, every day, to the point where when they are attacked with their infantile and puerile nonsense, and they get pushed back, they scream victimhood because they did not anticipate the vehement slam they receive as a matter of course. Then they slander from the dark with their fake profiles. And the cycle continues, not because people are stupid, but because the offer of meaning in a meaningless struggle is sometimes more powerful than the promise of a better spreadsheet. So you see, they will attack your tone when the truth makes them panic. Folks, let's take another break and we come back with segment 3. I tell you, there's a lot of fire today, you know, folks.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned, where information is power.
Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
Country Cold Store Mini Mart announces a special offer for this independence, February 3rd to 6th. Thigh quarters, $10 to $20 per bag. Frozen whole turkey, $7 per pound. Frozen picnics, $7 per pound. Onion rings, $23 per bag. Chicken wings, $15 per bag. Garlic, $1.50 per sling. Potatoes, $5 to $10 per bag. Potato wedges, $27 per bag. Cured pork snout, $10 to $20 per bag. Happy Independence, Grenada. Enjoy the specials at Country Cold Stores Mini Mart. February 3rd to February 6th.
The Country Cool Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. And for those of you who have just come into the room, it's a plum-pleasing pleasure to have you here with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course, if you're late, you know what to do. Hit that share button and let's get some more people in the room, because there's a lot to share as we get ready to observe our 52nd year of national independence. Welcome back. Folks, Robert Greene explained recently what makes people stupid. And right now, we have a lot of stupid people in the world. There are more people on the planet, and it naturally follows that exponentially there would be more stupid people. Unfortunately, stupidity is trending these days. The certainty of these people that they have all the answers makes them really stupid. That is what's wrong with our government or politics or people or whatever. You see, they have all the answers. What these people do is narrow their focus to this tiny little rail, something that they heard from other people, something they absorbed from the internet via social media, from another stupid person perhaps. And in the meantime, you are going down this kind of monorail path. This time now, the world is all around you, and you continue to travel your narrow path, being certain you have all the answers. Now, that is stupidity. And that is according to Robert Greene. You see, folks, that is precisely why we should never stoop down to other people's level. This life is not about money. I know people who are not concerned with the collective values that contribute to the holistic success. Only money. Life is not just about money, because you can have all the money and all the other virtues are missing. People will not want to be around you. And I know people who are like that. They're lonely and they cannot even enjoy their money. It is not about status, folks. It is not about you and how, you were not raised. No, life is about how you were raised. It is about the values you were taught. It is about the standards you hold yourself to. So whenever you drop down, just to prove their energy, you are not proving anything about them. You are letting go of who you were and who you were brought up to be. Anyone can be petty. Anyone can be rude and crude. Anyone can be disrespectful. But not everyone can hold on to respect, patience, self-control when they are tested. So remember where you started, where you stand, who raised you, and what they instilled in you. Never trade your value just to meet someone in the mud. Stay where you are and stay true to who you are. Folks, all of us should learn, if we are not respected, that we must show up less. If we are not heard, we should speak less. In other words, play dumb. If we are not appreciated, stop trying. It is not about your presence being known, folks. It is about your presence being valued. Life is much too short to proceed and insist on tolerating nonsense. What a pity. The man you help today is the man who will try to replace you tomorrow. No good deed really does go unpunished. That's a paradox of power. Kindness creates rivals, not loyalty. When you raise a man from the dirt, he does not look at you with gratitude. Many, if not all, of the people who directly attempt to smear me, for instance, are people I have helped. Some of us with personal experience have seen this firsthand, even within our families. They look at you with envy. They remember the hand that lifted them, but they resent the fact that they once needed it. You see, every favor creates a debt, and debt is a color that they will try to break, even if it means striking the very hand that raised them. This is why supporters are so often betrayed, while tyrants are feared and obeyed. Understand this truth, folks. Help only when it strengthens your position. Give only when it binds others to your command. To give freely is to arm a future enemy with the very strength he will use to challenge you. The wise do not seek thanks. They seek leverage, for gratitude fades, but ambition never sleeps. The man you once saved will one day convince himself that he deserves to stand above you. You see it every day in Grenada, folks. The issue of dysfunction in families is more popular than many of us will ever realize. Cutting off family, therefore, is one of the most misunderstood decisions a person can make. Most of us assume it comes from anger, rebellion, or even selfishness. Psychology paints a very different picture. Going no contact is not necessarily about hate. It is about survival. It is about boundaries. It is about mental health. According to the literature on psychology, here's what psychology reveals about people who cut off contact with their families. They've reached their emotional limit. People don't cut off family after one argument. It usually happens after years of emotional stress, repeated hurt, or even feeling unheard. This is what is referred to as emotional exhaustion. When someone feels constantly drained, criticized, or even invalidated, the mind eventually chooses distance to protect itself. Cutting contact becomes a last option, not the first. You see, they value mental health over tradition. All the problems in our life come from three simple things: the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we react. Every thought is like a seed planted in your mind. If every day you plant narrow, negative thoughts, it won't be long before they grow into fear, into very limits that bind you. If you therefore begin to plant possibility and belief there, you are opening a door that leads you to new possibilities that you never expected. The way you feel relate to the emotions you carry around with you each day. So if you let yourself get stuck in anger, sadness, or anxiety, you see that energy? It will pull you lower and lower and lower. But when you learn to nurture gratitude, love, and peace, you will find this world to be gentler. You want to know what the problem is with discerning people, folks? Discerning people see the lies, the mask, the betrayals, but they don't necessarily lash out because they recognize God is present in all of them. teaching them the lessons that feed their very spirit of discernment. Yet it hurts when they try to fool you, forgetting that you already know. The discerning person feels deeper than he or she wants. That's why the world feels heavy to them. And sometimes you wonder if happiness escapes you because you see too goddamn much. People like us have to realize that God made us this way. That sharp mind, that restless heart, that deep ache is not a curse, it's a calling. You feel lonely because you don't fit in, because you were never meant to. You were meant to stand out, and that's what you do, stand out. You were set apart. In fact, you were chosen. You were marked. You're smart enough to know, even if you stand by yourself, you're not alone. The God of our universe walks beside you. He placed wings on your back, strength in your soul, and fire in your bones. People who do not have a grasp for your level will call you weird. But thank God, you know who you are. You know you are chosen. Folks, people who know deep down inside that they are not real, they are usually intimidated by a discerning person. Listen for them. At first, I don't like that man. I can't stand him, you know. But they can't say that to the man, you know. When they actually have an encounter with him, hi, how are you doing? And you can see the plastic smile, the emptiness, the vacuousness, and they don't know that you're reading right through them. And their interaction would be quick, so they could go and resume falseness, fakeness. But you don't cut through that long time. Your hypocrite meter pick up that long time. Folks, we all have to yearn to reach that place in life where it is really just you and the Godhead. You must not say that coming from the place of loneliness. No, don't ever say that. You must say it in a settled, peaceful way. Because when everything got quiet and down bad for us, we must realize how little we actually need to remain aligned. None of us need a crowd. None of us need constant validation. That one person who reaches out to you out of the blue to seek your advice and counsel is testimony that you are valued and respected. The crowd only makes noise, and noise is distracting. So you really and truly do not need people clapping for your growth. Many of them are not sincere in any case. All we need is the God of our universe and maybe one or two other people in our corner who love us enough to tell us the truth, not hype us up, not enable us, not agree with everything we've got to say, but people who check us. You see, the people who hold us accountable, trust me, folks, those people are rare. When I wake up each day knowing I have those, I renew my gratitude for my blessings. Look at Friday last. It rained, and someone called me to discuss a matter very apologetically about reaching out for that purpose, to tax my brain, that is. When I was asked, how am I and how is the rain treating me? My answer was, the rain is doing its thing on the outside, and I am doing mine on the inside. I thank God for the blessing of a shelter. Ode to the things we take for granted. You know what that person said to me? I knew I chose the right person to call, you know. All I said in return was, shoot, come on, tell me. And all that person wanted was a listening ear. And of course, at the end of which, a fresh perspective. When they were done and gone, I thanked God again for the knowledge and wisdom I am blessed with to be able to share. Folks, good people are hard to find, especially in these times here, so and now, where the almighty dollar is the center of focus for so many of our people around us. I am not talking about talented people, loud people, or people with opinions. I'm talking about decent, value-centered people, people with integrity, people who do not switch up, even if and when they have the opportunity to. People who do not need to be seen to be solid. That is precisely why my circle is small. This is not because I think I am better, but because I'm wired differently, and I invite you to be the same. People like that no longer move on impulse anymore. We do not bond fast. We do not let access replace trust. We watch patterns. We listen more than we talk these days. We move slowly on purpose. We have learned that peace does not come having more people. It comes from having the right people, if even it is just one in our corner. So when we sit back and think about it, based on our experiences with people, the God of our universe is more than enough for any one of us. Enough to correct us, enough to humble us, enough to sit with us when nobody else could or would. So that is why you would observe people like us. We do not chase connections. We protect alignment instead. And hence it is easy for us to cut off the wrong energy. You see, if God is in it and the people around us are real, that's more than enough for us. Everything else is just what? Noise. So if you wish to go far in life, you need to train yourself to accept disappointment, even from those that you trust. After all, it is integral to life, and anything that steals your peace should be walked away from. Why? Peace is wealth. I am daring you folks, whoever say you will not rise, may our God silence them. May your breakthroughs shock your enemies. Anything delaying your helper from locating you, may our God clear them away. Your lifting starts right now, and you have to believe it. Every closed door before you, God is opening it now. Step into your season of favor and unstoppable blessings. Every voice speaking delay into your life is silenced. It is up to you to rise and walk into your divine appointment. It's totally up to you. Any hand blocking your progress, God is removing it now. So keep moving forward. Nothing will stop you. Do not fall for distraction. Stay focused, and everything desirable will be added. Folks, life will test all of us. What we must never lose sight of is the fact that our attitude will determine how far we go in this life. You see, wisdom comes with time, but growth comes from the choices you make every single day. Stop choosing to be around losers or parasites. You will catch what they have. When you come across as an indomitable spirit, speaking with certainty, you will never be concerned with what anyone thinks of you while you are being authentically you. So you see what I told you? People who operate in a spirit of certainty like that, they must attack your tone when the truth makes them panic. Let's take a little break, and we'll come back with a wonderful political expose before we wrap up with a little historical account of our independence. All right, folks? So let's wait for it. Let's wait for it.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
Country Cold Store Mini Mart announces a special offer for this independence, February 3rd to 6th. Thigh quarters, $10 to $20 per bag. Frozen whole turkey, $7 per pound. Frozen picnics, $7 per pound. Onion rings, $23 per bag. Chicken wings, $15 per bag. Garlic, $1.50 per sling. Potatoes, $5 to $10 per bag. Potato wedges, $27 per bag. Cured pork snout, $10 to $20 per bag. Happy Independence, Grenada. Enjoy the specials at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart. February 3rd to February 6th.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
And of course, folks, you saw in one of my advertisement for this program, this edition, that I had promised to feature Lennox Andrew, whose victory may have been a surprise to many in light of the stalwart that he was able to beat in that St. Andrews seat to bring home the bacon for the NDC in 2022. So he's to be called the giant slayer up in St. Andrew. In the rugged political terrain of St. Andrew, where tradition and deep-rooted allegiances often dictate the electoral map, The victory of the Member of Parliament, Lennox Andrew, in 2022 general election was not just a win. It was a political earthquake. His triumph was a master stroke of strategy and symbolism, where he successfully slayed a giant, defeating a long-serving stalwart NNP representative to bring a crucial seat home for the NDC. This wasn't merely about changing a vote. It was about changing a narrative, proving that no seat was permanently locked away, and that even the most entrenched fortress could fall to a well-organized, passionate campaign grounded in the promise of change. Andrew's victory was a surprise to pundits, but in hindsight, it was a case study in the NDC's national message, finding perfect local expression. He harnessed a potent mix of constituency fatigue with the old guard and, of course, a powerful yearning for the NDC's new covenant of accountability, so to speak, and, of course, grassroots empowerment. He presented himself not just as an alternative candidate, but as the vehicle for a tangible break from the past. A vote for Lennox Andrew was indeed a vote to end the old cycle of neglect in St. Andrew. What about the proof of the pudding, though? Since his monumental win, MP Lennox Andrew's role has been one of validation and vigilant advocacy. His very presence in Parliament is a daily reminder of the NDC's expanded reach. In the constituency, his mission is to prove that the gamble his constituents took was a wise one. He operates with the understanding that he must demonstrate a different, more responsive brand of politics. His focus has been intensely local and visible. He has been managing his constituency schedule, ensuring that he does not become an absent victor. Accessibility is his new weapon against the old guard's legacy. But is he championing tangible needs? He has been advocating for the core, often long neglected infrastructure needs of St. Andrew: road repair, water supply issues, and agricultural support, channeling the resources of the new administration to address old grievances. But what about the symbolic significance? You see, every activity or other deliverables he helps deliver is framed as a direct result of the constituency's courageous choice. He is the living link between their vote and the government's attention. The 2027 challenge, though, transforming victory into a dynasty. The hardest task in politics is often not winning a seat, but holding it, especially one taken from a powerful incumbent. For MP Lennox Andrew, 2027 is about transforming a stunning tactical upset into a strategic realignment. His path requires a delicate balance. So he must transform from slayer to settler. He has to transform, or transition from the narrative of the rebel challenger to that of the effective established representative. The focus must shift from how he won to how he proceeds to govern to retain the seat. This means building a record of delivery so concrete that it makes the previous representative's tenure seem distant and underperforming by comparison. He has to build an unassailable local machine. His campaign machinery, which executed the surprise victory, must now be institutionalized into a permanent service and engagement network. A robust constituency office that solves problems efficiently is key to building the day-to-day loyalty that survives national political moods. he has to leverage his mythical status. Within the NDC, he is a hero, a symbol of what is possible. He must use this internal capital to ensure St. Andrew, remains a priority for government projects and ministries. He must be a relentless lobbyist within the cabinet, ensuring that, I would suppose, constituency feels the tangible benefits of being in the room. So, we're about to see if he could be the keeper of the mandate. You see, MP Lennox Andrew is more than an MP. He is the keeper of a crucial mandate. His victory was a pivotal moment in the 2022 election, proving the NDC's appeal could penetrate even the strongest opposition strongholds. His continued success is therefore not just a local matter, but a national significance to the party's long-term project. The supportive narrative for 2027 is clear. MP Lennox Andrew is the man who broke the chain. He ended an era of complacency and brought St. Andrew into the fold of a transformative national agenda. Re-electing him is about securing continued access, affirming the courage of the 2022 choice, and declaring that St. Andrew's future is now irreversibly tied to a government that delivers. He's the guardian of a hard-won political revolution in his parish, and his mission is to ensure it becomes permanent. You see, as frank as I am, spewing truth only and always, this infuriates the ignorant, whose opinions that always run contrary to facts guide them. And that is precisely why they attack my tone when the truth makes them panic. So let's take a break and we come back with our fifth and final segment for this week. Goodly folks, hang in there. Soon return.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
Country Cold Store Mini Mart announces a special offer for this independence. February 3rd to 6th. Thigh quarters, $10 to $20 per bag. Frozen whole turkey, $7 per pound. Frozen picnics, $7 per pound. Onion rings, $23 per bag. Chicken wings, $15 per bag. Garlic, $1.50 per sling. Potatoes, $5 to $10 per bag. Potato wedges, $27 per bag. Cured pork snout, $10 to $20 per bag. Happy Independence, Grenada. Enjoy the specials at Country Cold Stores Mini Mart. February 3rd to February 6th.
The Country Cool Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. And of course, we're just going to have a little overrun today, but I'm sure you are happy about that. So as we proceed to observe, folks, our 52nd anniversary of national independence, I am again glad to seize the opportunity to share excerpts of my still unpublished history of Grenada titled This Is My Island. The specific area captioned Pre-Independence Radicalism 1970 to 1974 and the Birth of a New Hero. The disillusionment of the enlightened was soon to be replaced by a sharp polarization between Gary and the people, as Grenada moved into its second revolutionary phase. Eric Gary was forced to acknowledge the threats to his power and influence because the methods employed by supporters of the Black Power movement back then indicated a deliberate appeal to his own constituents, the agro-proletariat. The young elements made serious efforts to exploit the existence of general discontent in the society. Folks, the extent of their organizational potential and support was soon emphasized in the nurses' strike on November-December 1970. In November 1970, a group of about 30 nurses staged a demonstration through the streets of St. George's, protesting poor working conditions, unhealthy facilities, and a shortage of medical supplies. The nurses soon attracted the support of secondary school students, some of whom supported the radical urban elements organized in groups like Forum. When a further massive demonstration took place on December 15th, the police arrested 30 people, charging them with conspiracy to riot and other similar offenses. The lack of essential drugs, dressings, and medical appliances provoked the nurses' demonstration. This was the statement of a policeman during the riot trial. The opposition accused Gary's government of callousness and gross indifference to the health of the nation. The medical service was said to be on the verge of ruin. In the February 1972 general election, though, the Grenada United Labour Party, under the leadership of Premier Eric Gary, scored a landslide victory, winning 13 of the 15 seats in the House of Representatives. The remaining 2 seats were won by Herbert Blair's and Wellington Friday of the Grenada National Party. The major issue in the campaign of the GULP was independence for Grenada, and Gary claimed that his victory gave him the mandate to lead the people of Grenada into national independence. Gary continued to be the hero. The arrests and trials during the nurses' crisis of December 1970 had the effect of dragging out the conflict and encouraging the various elements represented in the cross-section of arrested people to further organize their anti-Gary activities. But being baffled by the outcome of the 1972 elections, Unison Whiteman, Selwyn Strawn, Sebastian Thomas, and Teddy Victor returned to the grassroots. Together with about 20 sympathizers, they focused their attention on the Grenada United Labour Party's stronghold of St. David, whose parliamentary representative was Mrs. Cynthia Gary, wife of Eric Gary. Less than 1 month after that election, they formed a group called Joint Endeavor for Welfare, Education and Liberation, JEWEL, JEWEL. The JEWEL's main aim was to undermine Gary's agro-proletariat base by exposing as many contradictions of Gary's personality, the gap between his words and his actions. To this end, the JEWEL's first major realized project was the publication of an information sheet simply called the JEWEL. The first issue stated that it would be the voice of the cooperative movement soon to be launched in St. David, appealing to a population 60% of whom were Roman Catholic. The news sheet skillfully used biblical references to bring out the message of unity. Later on, in 1972, an Englishman named Lord Brownlow barred the public from gaining access to a popular beach through his property by fencing an access road through his Lassages estate. The people protested to Gary government, and that those protests went unheeded, and so they turned to the JEWEL, which organized a people's trial. The peasants convicted Lord Brownlow in absentia for violating their rights, then tore down the fence and marched defiantly to the beach. Several months after the Lord Brownlow incident, in March of 1973, on the initiative of Maurice Bishop of the Movement of the Assemblies of People MAP and Unison Whiteman of JEWEL, they held a joint convention and agreed to merge into one organization, which they called the New JEWEL Movement, NJM. They became the main articulators for meaningful independence, as against what they termed the meaningless independence Gary was likely to bring for the people of Grenada, whereupon he would become the first prime minister, thus vested with even more powers than ever before. With the NJM in the lead, popular opposition to Gary began to gain momentum and take on a life of its own. While Gary and Herbert Blaise were in London holding independence talks with the British government, the NJM convened a People's Congress on Independence of roughly 10,000 people, representing 1/4 of the electorate. This was followed by another on November 4th, 1973, at which the people convicted Gary of 27 crimes involving corruption, incompetence, and brutality. The People's Congress called on Gary to resign within 2 weeks or face a general strike. These anti-Gary protests did not deter Gary one way or the other, as he proceeded to hold independent talks in Britain. In May of 1973, Eric Gary led a delegation to the Grenada Constitutional Conference held at Marlborough House, London. The government delegation included George F. Hostin, JP, Member of Parliament, Mr. Lauriston Wilson, CBE, Mr. Edwin Haliger, QC, Mr. Nolan Jacob, and Mr. DC Buxo. The opposition delegation was led by Herbert Blaise, JP, Member of Parliament, Senator Ben Jones, Mr. Jack Dare, QC, out of Barbados, and, believe it or not, folks, Mr. Bernard Cord. The UK's delegation was led by the Right Honourable Lord Balneel, a member of the British Parliament. Gary had no intention of resigning despite all of the upheavals in the state, but went on radio to deliver what was a scathing attack on his enemies in another threatening speech. On Sunday, November 18th, 6 leaders of the NJM, Maurice Bishop, Unison Whiteman, Selwyn Strawn, Hudson Austin, Kenrick Radix, and Simon Daniel, went to Grenville to discuss the planned strike with business leaders. There, the 6 were assaulted by members of what was called and referred to as Gary's Mongoose Gang. and beaten horribly. They were thrown into a jail cell and denied bail and medical attention. Bloody Sunday, as it was called, marked a turning point in the opposition to Gary because it drew together large portions of Grenadian society, including the middle class and what was left of the upper class, in a reaction of fear and disgust at the brutality which was Gary's response to the forceful opposition to his rule. With the NGM leadership in jail, the anti-Gary elements of the bourgeoisie stepped forward and formed a coalition called the Committee of 22. Included were the Grenada Union of Teachers, the Civil Service Organization, the Chamber of Commerce, the anti-Gary unions, the churches, and various other middle-class groups like the Rotary Club of Grenada. It is said that the established bourgeoisie opposed Gary because his patronage and corruption threatened their profits and because his repressiveness was jeopardizing Grenada's capitalist economy by provoking mass upheavals. While the Committee of 22 wanted reform, which would stabilize the society, they did not want any change in the capitalist system, such as that proposed by the NGM. On November 19th, the Committee of 22 called an island-wide strike, demanding that Gary arrest and charge the police responsible for Bloody Sunday, and that he move to dismantle his police state. Gary, of course, quickly agreed to these terms, and the Committee of 22 called off their strike after 1 week. The agreement forced Gary to call a commission of inquiry to investigate the Bloody Sunday incident and the nature of law enforcement in Grenada. Headed by respectful Jamaican jurist Herbert Duffus, the commission delivered a stinging indictment of Gary's administration, describing Bloody Sunday as an unjustified act of police violence. Among other things, the Duffus Commission recommended that Gary disband the Mongoose Gang and reorganize the police force. Needless to say, Gary was not bound by the recommendations and proceeded to appoint the police superintendent who was responsible for Bloody Sunday, Innocent Belmar, a minister of government. Gary failed to comply with the other promises he made to the Committee of 22 in November of 1973. Both the committee and the leadership of the NGM called a more serious strike beginning the first working day of January 1974, paralyzing the island's economy. Simultaneously, mass protests or demonstrations through the streets of St. George became the order of the day until serious clashes with the police brought things to a head on January 21st, 1974, Bloody Monday. During this climaxing protest or demonstration, Maurice Bishop's father, Rupert Bishop, was shot and killed. The conflict between Gary and the people, ably led by the leadership of the NGM, with the Committee of 22 legitimizing the struggle, had reached boiling point. By this time, the NGM could be noticed in the forefront of the anti-Gary, anti-independence struggle. The GNP under Herbert Blaise was in the shadows doing what they thought was important. They launched a signature campaign against independence and was able to collect close to 19,000 signatures in support of the petition, which simply stated, "We strongly oppose independence for Grenada by itself alone." It proved easy for the NGM to assume leadership of the anti-Gary opposition, since the GNP was weakly led and organized and could not cope adequately with the major new crisis which had emerged in the country. After all, historical records proved the inadequacy of the GNP to remove Gary, let alone replace Gary at the polls as By this time, he had maneuvered the power that he controlled to the fullest, and thus outmaneuvering them. But here we come, independence, 7th February 1974. Although the island-wide shutdown was still in progress, Independence Day, 7th February 1974, came and went with the entire leadership of the NGM in prison. In a book, Grenada, Revolution and Invasion, by Payne, Sutton, and Thorndike, one onlooker recalled, albeit with the benefit of hindsight, quote, "Shortly before midnight, we assembled on the battlements of Fort George, overlooking the harbor for the lowering of the Union Jack. On the roof before us stood an escort of British blue jackets. Under our feet, quite literally, sat the opposition, safely locked in their cells following the afternoon roundup. Gary made a preposterous speech in which he declared, quote, 'We are now completely free, liberated, independent, in spite of a wicked, malicious, obstructive, destructive minority of noise-making self-publicists. God has heard our prayers. God has been merciful. God has triumphed,' unquote. A British sailor sealed the occasion by blowing the last post before the Navy marched away to the quayside. With huge sighs of relief, we, the British, had knowingly delivered Grenada into the hands of a lunatic," unquote. You see, folks, I always tell you, history knows no prejudice, no color, nor no political side. It chronicles events and developments as they happen and have happened. History is not opinionated. It is not what we want to happen or wanted to happen that matters. It is what happens or what has happened, whether we like it or not. History is known to record many things that we may or may not be in favor of, but history never dilutes to please any of us. Our local history is rich and is flavored with the many diverse conflicts that no other Caribbean island has experienced. Our history is unique to us and us alone. That is why we need to ensure that the idiots who come and spent longest, rather who came and spent longest in the leadership over our nation, who never paid any attention to our history, causing large swaths of our people to be the dim-wits they manifest to be today, must never see such power in their hands ever again. It ought to be onward, upward, and forward for our people without them. And I'm sure you agree. Folks, I'm in, I'm out, and I'm gone. Thanks for joining. Continue to share. See you next week at the same time, same place for more extraordinary programming. Until then, stay safe, stay well, remain vigilant, stay lifted, stay focused, please. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Type in my name, Edward or Eddie Frederick. No fake, nothing, just Edward or Eddie Frederick. Subscribe, like, share, follow, do whatever you want. And be prepared to receive your mental multivitamins as directly as I deliver them to you. Until next time, stay curious, stay frank, and for goodness sake, remember, set boundaries. But just to rekindle here an interest in our topic today, they attack your tone when the truth makes them panic. Don't forget that. Have a great week, folks. Remember, this week is the Independence Week until it climaxes, I believe. When does it climax? on, I don't know, I'm looking at the wrong calendar. I think is it Saturday or Sunday? Whatever day it is. But let us do what we must. Today is what, the 1st and 7th, so it's Saturday of next week. So until next time, next week, we're going to be here on the 8th of February. And I'm sure we'll have a very exciting topic on which to rendezvous. So take care of your wonderful selves. And whatever you do this week, do it with patriotism in mind. And remember, patriotism is not something you say. It's something you do. People must see it in your walk. They must see it in your attitude. They must see it in your productive nature. That's what patriotism. It's an act. It's not just a word that you talk about. So have a great one. Much love to all of you. Take care of your wonderful selves.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This has been Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
Country Cold Store Mini Mart announces a special offer for this independence, February 3rd to 6th. Thigh quarters, $10 to $20 per bag. Frozen whole turkey, $7 per pound. Frozen picnics, $7 per pound. Onion rings, $23 per bag. Chicken wings, $15 per bag. Garlic, $1.50 per sling. Potatoes, $5 to $10 per bag. Potato wedges, $27 per bag. Cured pork snout, $10 to $20 per bag. Happy Independence, Grenada. Enjoy the specials at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart. February 3rd to February 6th.
The Country Cool Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.